Hello and welcome to my very first YouTube video. So you've been on YouTube checking ways to speed up your Mac and found lots of videos telling you the same thing, which is to delete apps or even install apps to delete apps, which cost you money, and you still find that your Mac is running slow. Then you've come to the right place. In this video I will help you dive a little deeper and even possibly diagnose problems with your hardware, and for free. It won't cost you a penny. Hello and welcome to iFixApple. This channel is all about Apple. With 30 years experience, I believe I have a good amount of Apple computer knowledge that I would like to share with you all. With this knowledge, I plan to help you keep your Macs running for many years to come and hopefully answer any questions you might have about Apple and their hardware. All computers run slow after time, and Macs are no exception. There are many reasons this can happen. Your machine is too old, not enough memory, incompatible applications, viruses, not enough free space on your hard disk, too much clutter, or even your drive might be failing, showing signs of old age. Quite often, if your Mac is over 5 years old, companies tell you it's too old and suggest you get a new one, especially Apple, just to make another sale. Personally, I think this is ridiculous. In fact, some of my favourite machines which still work great are the 2012 MacBook or even the 2011 iMac, and still, even today, I sell a lot of these refurbished machines. They are the last of the machines Apple made which you can easily upgrade the RAM. And it's not soldered to the motherboard, unlike today's current equivalents. You can also simply and affordably replace the storage drives. These Macs come with rotational drives, and now with the much faster solid state drives, from the moment you hit that power button, you can use your Mac less than 10 seconds later. Anyway, let's get on with the main reason why you're here. I will take you step by step through the most common things that I often sort out for my clients. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is check how much free space you've got. So let's go now and see how we can do this. Okay, there's a couple of ways you can see how much free space you've got on your hard disk. The first way is to click on the Apple menu, go down to About This Macintosh, and then you can click on Storage. And after a few seconds, it will tell you here. So you can see I've got 115 gigabytes of free space. Now, it normally tells you how many applications, documents and music, but I find this not very accurate. It says it's using, 327 gigas of a system. So just use this for reference and just look at how much free space you've got. As you can see here, I have 20% free, so that's perfectly fine. Now the way I like to do it, because I like to keep an eye on it the whole time, is if you click on the Finder and then go to Preferences, you can get it to show your hard disk, and whilst I'm at it, I'll do the connected servers on the desktop. So when you've got your hard disk on the desktop, you can click on it just the once, then go File down to Get Info, and it tells you here, it tells you your capacity is 500 gig and available is roughly 120 gig. So again, like I said, just over 20%. Now, I leave the hard disk on the desktop by default on all my machines. You don't need to, but I do like it. So I can just double click on it and it tells you the capacity down here. If yours doesn't, because by default it doesn't, you go to the view options and you can tell it here to show and hide the status bar. By default it's hidden. I always click on show status bar. So then that way, whenever I opened up a Finder window, I can see just how much hard disk space I've got free to keep an eye on it. Now, it's always advisable to leave at least 10% of your hard disk free, but I would suggest this figure be closer to 20%. This is because of what the operating system does in the background, often without you knowing, like storing temporary files, virtual memory swap files, and it's always good to leave free space to avoid fragmentation. If you have enough free space, then I think it's okay to go on to the next step. If not, then I'm afraid we need to look at clearing out some of your files. I won't go into this right now. as it's a video all by itself. And as stated earlier in the video, there's plenty of YouTube videos as is. However, if you would like me to create a video in more detail, then please let me know by posting a comment below. Now the next thing I would suggest is turning off FileVault. Let's go and have a look how to do this. Okay, let's show you how to turn off FileVault. It is quite simple to do, however you do need to make sure you're an administrator. So if you're a limited user or you have parental control on, you won't be able to do this. You will need to ask someone who has administrator rights. So to do this, you go to your system preferences, which you can go in the dock where it generally is, or you can click on the Apple menu and open up system preferences from here. The next thing you do, you need to go to security and privacy. Under here, you'll see FileVault. Now you can't make any changes because it's locked. As I said, you need to be an administrator. So you click on it, type in your password. And there you can see. Now, if it says turn on like mine does, it means FileVault is turned off. It tells you here. But if it says turn off, then that's because it's turned on. So my advice, turn this off. It makes a big difference. Apple, when they upgraded the operating system, or when you did an operating system update or a clean install, by default it enabled two tick boxes, which most people never unticked, didn't know what it did, and this is it. FileVault allows you to encrypt every file stored on your Mac to keep it safe from prying eyes. It also uses a lot of processing power to encrypt and decrypt those files. Now, if you see it on, I would suggest turning it off and see if you notice a difference in performance. Unless you're a doctor, a lawyer, a government official, or you take your laptop on the train with you to and from work, afraid of the consequences if one day you left it on the train, leaving all your clients' confidential data at risk, then I don't think it's worth the performance loss. Besides, having a password on your computer is generally enough to deter most people. Okay, this next thing is important, and I would suggest you go no further if a problem shows. So now let's go and have a look at your hard disk is functioning properly by checking its smart status. Okay, so let's go ahead and download Smart Utility. So if you open up your web browser, which can be Safari or Google Chrome, whatever you prefer to use, and we'll just do a quick Google search. I will put a link in the description below. So we'll have a search for Smart Utility, OS X, and Volitan software. So as you can see here, it tells you it works with any Mac OS X with internal normal rotational hard disks or SSDs. Now a lot of Smart Utility software doesn't support SSDs, but let's go ahead and download it. Right, so here it is. Now normally you can drag it to your applications. I don't want to because I already have it, but if you double click on it, as you see, it's a 30-day trial. You can purchase it if you want to, but you don't need to. So click OK. So as you can see here, it's telling me it's passed. Now the attributes, we show them all. They vary from drive manufacturer to whatever drive you're using. Now there's not so many on SSD on this SSD, but sometimes you can have pages depending on all the different attributes that the drive supports and consistently monitors. Now the most important ones you want to look for are the CRC error counts and the relocated sector counts. As you can see, they're here. But Smart Utility recognizes this drive and it tells me the manufacturer's given it, says it's passed. SMART stands for Self-Monitoring Analysis and Reporting Technology. It is built in all hard disks I know of since around 2004. Its primary function is to detect and report various indicators of the hard disk, with the intent of anticipating imminent hardware failures. This can be set up to notify you, allowing you to take time and the necessary action of backing up your files, preventing data loss. At first, you might notice just a few errors. In single figures, it could be hours, days, or even months before these figures begin to grow. Once they reach double figures, it can very rapidly hit hundreds, then thousands, and eventually, when it gets to these kind of figures, you have far less of a chance of a successful backup. So it's advisable to back up and replace your drive as soon as you notice any errors. To do this, I would suggest you use a program called Smart Utility. From Volaton Software, I'll post a link in the description below. Smart Utility is an application to scan the hardware diagnostics systems of hard disks. Now, there are many ways to do this, including Apple's own built-in software Disk Utility. However, from my experience, I have found Disk Utility of little or no use. And often, when Disk Utility starts reporting as failing or failed, it's already too late. Now we know you have enough free space, that FileVault is turned off, and your hard disk is functioning properly, it's time to do a little deeper cleanup. Now, to do this, I would recommend a program called Onyx. And the great thing about this program is it's free. Now, there are many apps out there that can do this, and often just one app that works on all, I don't necessarily trust will do the cleaning job properly, as every operating system works differently. Now, Onyx is different. It has a different version for each and every Mac operating system. That's 14 dedicated versions from 10.2 Jaguar up to the latest 10.15 Catalina. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get Onyx downloaded and put on the machine. So we'll open up the web browser and we'll do a search for Onyx, ONYXOSX. I will put a link in the description below. And as we can see at the top, it's titaniumsoftware.fr. So let's have a look. So on the main download page, as you can see here, they have a version for Catalina 10.15, Mojave 10.14, High Sierra, Sierra, El Capitan, Yosemite, Mavericks, all the way down to 10.2 Jaguar. Now, to find out what version you need, if you click on your Apple menu and go down to About This Mac, it tells you here. Now, I'm using OS X Sierra, which is my favorite system. So I'm going to click download. So once it's downloaded, it's a DMG file. So if we open it up, it does tell you here to drag it to your applications. You can do that if you want, but I'm going to put it into my utilities folder. Okay, so then let's go to utilities and we can now run it. So here's the license agreement. Right, now the first thing this software will do is it will check the integrity of your hard disk, which is a good thing because we don't want to start playing around deleting or moving files if there is another fundamental problem, because it can make things a lot worse. Now this could take a little while depending on how fast your hard disk is. I don't think it's going to take too long on here, probably about a minute, so let's wait and see. Now when it opens, as you can see, there's several tabs along the top. The only one we're really interested in is the cleaning. And there it is. So it shows you the disk has been verified and appears to be okay, so we can go further. So under the cleaning tab, as you can see, there's 8 different tabs here. So what I want you to do is to go through each and every one. So under here, the system, I'm not going to do it because the screen recording software I'm running, it will end up quitting that and I'll have to start again, which happened to me just 10 minutes ago. So if you click on system, there's generally just 2 of these. I think it's, I don't know what 2 it is. There's 2 that's unticked. You can decide if you want to tick them all or not. And then you just hit delete caches. Once you do that, it will ask you to restart. Now, I normally just cancel and I just restart when I finished all 8 tabs. So the next one is user. So you can go in here and you can click the audio units, the icon services, and then just click the button there and it will go ahead and delete those. Now, the only one that you might want to consider is under internet. As you can see here, there's a couple of values here, like form values and cookies. Now, you might not want to delete those because if you delete those and you don't remember passwords, or if you've saved any passwords for websites, for your banking, those details tend to get stored, in either a form value or a cookie. So if you do want to go and give it a proper clean, which I would advise, you will have to remember or retype in your passwords or your account details or your, whatever it is, it's saved. So the next one is fonts. You can click all these. Fonts do change every now and then, so sometimes it is good to delete them. These applications, for example, Microsoft, it might take a little bit longer. It does tell you down here. It might be abnormally. It tells you down here. Sometimes it could take an unusual long time for the program to open up. It's normal, but you just wait and it will download, all the updated fonts or whatever it has to do. Then all the logs. So we can click on that. I'll show you this one anyway. So let's delete these files. And after it's deleted, it will tell you, do you want to restart? I'm just going to do close for now. And then we can go through all of them and then delete those files, and then erasing, just erase. And then now under trash, if you read here, it tells you important, do not perform this if you have a solid state or a fusion drive. So because I have a solid state drive in this machine, I'm not going to do this last option. So once you've finished all that, you can then restart your machine. Now, the first time it starts up, it might take a little bit longer than usual. That's because it's going to be downloading all the files, all the cache files that it needs. But it's going to be a lot cleaner and a lot less, a lot smaller, a lot faster the next time you reboot, because it's just going to download the files that it requires. If all else fails, there's always the nuclear option. If all else fails and you've tried everything suggested to speed up your Mac without success, then there's one more option: a clean installation of the operating system. It's not a job to be undertaken lightly. You will need to delete your entire drive, but it will also delete all the files that have collected in the system library, the admin library, and the users library over the years, which may be the cause of your Mac running slow. Remember to take at least 1, preferably 2, complete backups before you start. You can copy documents, images, music, and everything else that you need to back up once you've installed the operating system. I plan to make a video on this shortly on how to do it, as it differs from Mac to Mac. And my advice is certainly not always to update to the latest operating system without proper knowledge of the pros and cons, especially as you often need to update certain software packages, and now many of the latest software packages are subscription based only. Okay, well that's it for now, and I hope you found this video interesting. Thanks for watching everybody, and if this video helped you, be sure to hit that like button and leave a comment below. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more of my useful videos. This is Darren from iFixApple. Thank you.